Welcome, dogs. Get your goggles, get your tightest Lycra tri-suit, put on those compression socks. Why be good at one sport if you can be shit at three? This is the Triathlon Mockery podcast. Welcome back, my dogs. It's the mozzarella speaking from Amsterdam. And if you're watching this video on YouTube, I'm sitting here with my London Marathon finisher medal, baby. And Maxi, he is chilling out in the desert where he's going to be cooked like a UK, what is it, fried salmon?
Fried
I saw
fish.
the temperature where you are right now. Isn't it like 40 degrees or something today?
Yeah, it's now it's starting to get really difficult now. You know, like it was hot before, but now it's getting really hard. I'm in my last few days of the heat camp, so I leave for Japan on actually this time next week. But I was on the bike the other day with my boys, so a couple of my mates have come out to help me. And the Wahoo started reading 55.6 when we stopped for coffee.
Why would you torture yourself like that? Don't you think, like, I mean, yes, heat training is also a form of altitude training, but in this sense, don't you think like it's that your training output is really shit because the heat is so extreme?
Well, yeah, you'd think that at one point it catches up with you, but I've actually been able to increase my numbers, like train harder and more, which is, I don't know, if I guess I'm taking it as a positive. Like I'm able to do better numbers in like 30, 35 degree heat. But obviously, like I'm doing things like I'll train in the morning, then I'll train in the evening, you know, like, and then in the middle of the day, I'll swim indoors. So I'm not in the peak heat of the day. But the numbers I've been able to do so far haven't really changed. And if anything, they've got better. So I'm hoping that when I get back in that 20 degree mozzarella heat, I'm going to be absolutely pinging, mate.
That's the David Goggins mindset, isn't it? Like morning, evening, lunch. The grind
Mate,
just
my
doesn't
mates
stop.
have been absolutely suffering, man. Like I told them, you know, guys, first 3 days, just take it easy. Like this is crazy heat, you know, like this isn't like a hot day in Amsterdam, 25 degrees. This is like 39 every day. And like you're in the desert, you got nowhere to go. And then they came out first day, bang, run session. Straight off the plane, ended up 2 days in the K-hole. I had to drag them out of the door like, oh, come on, guys, like, let's get moving. They had to follow me on the bike while they were running. Complete K-hole. But yeah.
No shit. There's like, and the jet lag and the heat difference and all the stress on the body. But what's the, have you got a high or a low of the week? Like,
Well, my high is just, that my mates are out here. My low, I actually, I don't, it's not a low, but I had a question for you. It's not related to a low, but I helped out a kid here called Max, actually, and he really wants to do triathlon at a high level. And I said to him, look, because the problem here is like you don't have much super competition, you know, like you do in Europe. You've got a lot of people and leagues and whatever. And I said, look, let's do a 1K time trial. And it got me thinking, like I made him do a 1K run time trial, and he actually ran really well, nearly under a 3 minute K. He's only 14, no carbon shoes. Yeah, so he did really well. There was a bit of wind as well, and obviously it's hot. I'm not trying to find excuses for him, but I think that he could have gone quicker. But I wanted to ask you, and I was thinking about it in the car on the way to the time trial. Do you think a 1K time trial is harder than a 10K?
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I mean, yes, if you like properly spank it, because I remember I did like a 400 meter max in Boston on their track. Yeah. And after 200 meters, I was on the flipping limit. But I think it's different hard. As in a 10K hard is going to start to become mentally hard, whereas a 1K hard is more like a fight against lactate, isn't it? So it's
because I was thinking like 1K, that's around 2.5 to 3 minutes of pure pain, you know, like you're going as hard as you can until you fall over the line, you know, whereas a 10K, you've kind of got time to get into it. But by the last 2.5K, you're really suffering. So it's like a delayed pain, you know, but like, I was just wondering to myself, like, what would you, if you had to pick one, I said to you Saturday, you're going to do a 10K or you're going to do a 1K, what would you choose?
Yeah, I'd rather do a 1K. I think I'd rather do a 1K. Yeah.
Yeah, at least it's over faster, isn't it?
I mean, you can save yourself on a 10K if you pace it right. But if you take a 10K like way too hard in the first 2.5K, I don't know. It's just so grim. The first 10K I maxed, like it scarred me.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. At least with the 1K, like you're on your knees and vomiting, but it's only two. It's not long, you know.
Unless you're saying 1K in the pool or 10K on the road. I'd rather do a 10K on the road. Yeah, I fucking hate the pool.
Fuck that. Let's not talk about that. Yeah.
Okay, so literally when I flew on my way home, we got into the airplane and it was like I was getting towards my seat, and always when you get towards your seat, you're thinking like, oh gosh, because I had a middle seat, you're always thinking like, who's going to be my neighbor? Who's going to be my neighbor? And I could see in the back of the airplane, there was like total carnage, chaos going on. There was like this obese grandpa who was some sort of fighting his suitcase. So he had his suitcase open and he was looking at his sandals. He was taking all his stuff out what you would normally do in a hotel room. And the ally of the airplane is really small. So I was standing there waiting. Behind me was a massive line. And he was like, wait. And then he got a little bit in a rush and boom, he cut his hand open. So his hand started to bleed. And meanwhile, he was like trying to get the blood away, trying to undo the suitcase. Then he moved the suitcase so I could finally sit down on my seat. He turned around with his suitcase and he cut his leg open. And he was total carnage. And then there was literally blood everywhere. There was blood on the stuff where you put the luggage in. There was blood on the seat in front of me. There was blood on my seat. And Max, I'm going to show you a picture now. Like, he was busy with this stuff. And all of a sudden, he threw this next to me. Now, for everyone who's watching this on YouTube, I'll show you the picture. Like, it's like literally all the paper blood towels were literally 5 centimeters away from me. I was like, oh my goodness, like what is he doing?
That's disgusting.
Do you see that?
Oh my god, what the
And we still had to fly, you know. I was thinking like, oh my god, this is going to be such a long 2 hours. So then when one of the stewards came past, I saw there was like a row that was full with space, and I said like, can I please sit over there? But then literally when they had to clean the place, there was literally blood everywhere. The seat in front, seat on the left, on the ground, on the seats. It was
what
mental.
the hell? I've never seen something like that in my life.
This guy was
The neighbor from hell.
And on the picture, you can see him messing around with the suitcase.
Yeah, you can see him in the background. Oh my god. Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that. That's so bad. That's so bad. And the fact he's thrown in the bloody towels on the seat. Oh.
And I could smell the iron from the blood. It was so strong because he's probably so old. It's like, I don't know.
That gives me the chills.
I was literally like, I want to get out of here. Yeah. Oh, mate, I had a sauna battle, which was my, I mean, it's not really a low, but it's a sauna battle with myself. Now, this is one of the craziest experiences I have had. So before I get into the London Marathon, this was the day after the London Marathon. So after the London Marathon, I had a couple of bebidas, drinks. Went out in the city, and for the next day, I had booked a sauna/spa appointment, and this was like a guided trip, as in like a guided sauna and then a guided ice bath. And I thought I had the appointment planned for 10:30. I woke up 9:30 and I checked my phone for the appointment, and the appointment was 9:30. I had a banging headache. I didn't have anything to drink. I went straight down quickly to the sauna, and the sauna was outside. Now you know London a little bit?
Little bit.
So we were staying in a hotel literally in the center of this Mayfair area. Now this was like a really posh area or something. It was like 200 meters. Now I was invited, so I didn't have to pay, but it was like 200 meters from Buckingham Palace. It's in the middle of like a really, really slick area. And they had like this, the sauna was in like a trailer. So it's like they rented the trailer. So there's like a sauna there, and they did a session in like an alley. So I was sitting in the sauna and I'm facing a window, and the window is literally like on the street. So pedestrians are walking past that window, and there is the mozzarella absolutely frying, sweating, and cooking in there. People were taking pictures. It was such an odd experience. Like, it was so weird.
Like, they
But
probably
anyway,
thought you were one of those like weird artists, that do these
yeah,
performances like sitting on a stick for
100%.
24 hours.
100% that people thought I was doing that. Um, but then the hardest thing was literally after 7 minutes was like, because you're already dehydrated, and that's where a headache is coming from. But that was a real hard battle with myself. And I don't like ice baths, but for the first time in my life, I've managed to do 3 minutes in an ice bath. But that was a grim session. But that was so weird, mate. And it was also a bit like I could laugh about it myself, but it was weird.
But also, where did you find this geezer with his trailer that was just like, oh, mate, come in the back of my trailer and I'll hook you up on the
No. This was all organized by New Balance. So I was invited for the whole weekend by New Balance, and literally made like from A to Z, everything you can think of was organized this weekend, like absolutely nuts. And so even afterwards, you could get massages in the hotel. They had like the guided spas outdoors, which was like in the alley with the trailer. But it was it sounds now really skanky, but it was really nice setup. But it's just like it had this window and it was facing the street, and people were like pedestrian
That's
around.
hilarious. That sounds so cool.
Yeah, it was really good. But the London Marathon, let's quickly dive into that. So this was my first time. I've never been to London. And I flew down on Friday, quickly 50-minute flight, no troubles. And then I had the subway from Heathrow to, Green Park. That's where I had to go. I was actually surprised that it took 45 minutes by subway, because if you land in Schiphol, which is really close to Amsterdam, and you take the train from Schiphol to Amsterdam city center, it takes you like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
London,
Heathrow's a long way out. Same with Gatwick.
London is massive, like London itself as well. Because the next day I had to pick up my bib number. And for some reason, they say fail to plan is planning to fail. And I just did that, baby. So the day before, I did like a little easy run, and I could see so many people around Buckingham Palace and around the finish line that were building up the finish line. So I thought like, oh, this must be the expo tomorrow. So in the morning, around 10 or 11, I thought I'm going to walk down to the expo, which was like 400 meters. And then I'll pick up my big number and I can have lunch, carbo loading, and rest up, not do a lot, only shoot some of the content that I had to make and get back. Now, I walked down and there was like a kids marathon going on, and I waited for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I couldn't pass the road. So I thought like, all right, let's try and see if we can go around it. So we walked around and we saw there's the suite. So the VIP suite. And I knew I had luckily had the invitation for it. So I thought like, oh, wow, this is such a coincidence. Like we can literally just go in here and get the bib numbers. So I asked the guy, is this where we pick up the bib numbers? And he said, yeah, that's here. So I walked in, went down to the desk of the VIP. They scanned my QR code and they said, this is for tomorrow. I said, yeah, that's right. She said, you're running tomorrow. I said, yeah. She said, this is the kids marathon today. And I said, oh, all right. But I'm picking up my bib number for tomorrow. She said, that's not here. That's like at the other side of London. I said, the other side of London? And then she showed me on the map that it was like in something called Excel or something.
That's where they do the T100, the Excel Center.
Really?
Yeah, it's ages away. It's near Canary Wharf.
Oh my goodness, mate. Like I got lost in the flipping subway and everything. It took me another 45 minutes and then it was not busy. In the end, we got the bib numbers, we shot the content, but it wasn't done before 6. But the city, it's London itself. I'm super surprised how nice it is. Nice buildings, characteristic buildings. I thought it was clean. And nice people, whereas I've heard stories that is like super skanky or something, but I actually was kind of surprised how nice it was. What do you think? I thought it was really nice.
Yeah, no, but I think maybe Marathon Weekend is definitely one of the best weekends to visit London in terms of atmosphere. I was watching it live on the BBC and we spoke a bit, but man, it looked insane. The crowds, it looked like every single centimeter of the course looked lined like 3 or 4 deep.
Wow, like crazy. So the race itself, I don't think I've ever experienced anything like it. 42K, crowds. Like there wasn't a single bit in the course, maybe the first 2-3 kilometers where there weren't a lot of people. But after, like, I would say kilometer 4-5, it was nuts, especially the last 20K. Unreal the amount of people that were there, like literally 4, 5, 6 rows deep, left, right. And I started off, as you know, I wanted to run 240. I think it's in the cards. Wasn't in the cards on Sunday. For some reason, I just had an extreme high heart rate. I went halfway through in 119 high, so I was like in pace, but my heart rate was higher than the 10K, and I thought, like, if I'm going to continue like this, I'm going to flip and collapse, and I'm not going to enjoy this experience. So I just backed it off, and I just found it more. I just didn't want to miss the experience, mate. Like, it was absolutely unreal. And if you're in the zone, then everything passes by. You're not taking it all in. And I just didn't want to let it ruin my day, you know. And it's sometimes you've got a cracker and sometimes not. But it's like the best experience I've ever had. You know, it's yeah. I just didn't want to let it ruin the day.
Yeah,
And
I mean, for sure. Like, I obviously, like I said, we were only watching it on the phone at the cafe, you know, but it was just, it looked unbelievable. Like the only thing I'd say that was annoying to watch, and I don't know if anyone else would agree with me, is, I mean, obviously you were running, but they were doing the thing where they were cutting from race to race to race every 2 seconds. So
what do you mean?
They'd film the lead men's group, and you'd be like, oh, there's Kipchoge, you know, and then boom, cut to the first women's group, and then boom, cut to Sif and Hassan, and then cut to the para race, and then cut to Alex Yee, and I'm like, guys, like, just do 2 minutes, and then you don't. You know, it was like literally every 30 seconds. And me and the boys were sitting there like, man, I can't keep track of what's going on, you know? And then, so like, it was great to watch, but I feel like they needed to keep it a bit more smooth as to like, what the hell is going on?
It's a bit the opposite of Ironman, where they film like the lead biker for 2-3 hours straight.
Yes, literally. So if we can find a middle ground, guys, that would be perfect.
Yeah, no, but the experience is unreal. No matter what time you run, no matter what you do, like in the end, no one flipping cares. And then it's just such a shame I just see so many people that are always like, that's the bullshit buster of this week. Always disappointed, not my day, not my race, blah, blah, blah. People should just sometimes you should not forget the fact that it's a privilege to be fit, and it's a privilege, for example, to be able to run the London Marathon. And maybe, yes, you wanted to run 5 minutes quicker, 10 minutes quicker, 30 minutes quicker. Yes, you know, but no one cares. It's like taking up the atmosphere, and I think you're doing yourself. You're not doing yourself justice by not appreciating the fact that you came where you are now. And if I look back at this weekend, I'm thinking I've like had one of the best weekends I've ever had, you know, in sports. And the atmosphere, the crowd, everyone's friendly, everyone's there to have a great day. The Brits are flipping nuts, which I like. The weather was amazing, and yes, it was warm for a marathon, but then you just need to like back off a little bit and focus a little bit more on cooling. There was like, I can 100% recommend this run for you.
Yeah, and I think like extending on that thought, like appreciating the moment, I think it's super underrated. And I think sport, really, that's the power of sport, is that it can bring how many people do you think were watching / running? Maybe 2 million, 3 million people in total?
Yeah, definitely.
Like, what else apart from maybe music, you know, can bring that many people that much happiness and emotion to watch strangers enjoy themselves, you know? Like, I feel like that is such a powerful thing. And even when I was in the complete K-hole in Singapore, now I look back at the photos and you think, man, I ran around a shut down metropolis, you know, like one of the biggest cities in the world just shut down for you, you know? So obviously, you don't always have your day, but I agree 100% with that bullshit buster that it's always good to just take a step back and realize, damn, like all in all, that is a really cool experience, you know, like to be able to have the privilege, first of all, to put one foot in front of the other, to breathe, live and breathe. And then second of all, to be able to do it actively, you know? So yeah, I mean, watching it for me, I wasn't even in the country. I wasn't even in Europe, you know, but to watch it through the screen, I was like, this is crazy, you know?
I've had it in the past, and that's, for example, that was my biggest lesson from Kona 2018. So when I qualified as an age grouper, the World Championships, I heat stroke 700 meters in front of the finish line, ended up in the intensive care, and it was because I was too busy with a result, a this and a that, and pushing yourself to the extreme. And yes, if you're a professional in a certain way, of course, you need to push yourself to the extreme. But one thing you should never forget, even if you're professional or not, is to really appreciate what you're doing and value what you're doing, even though if you're not having your day. Like you said, you're running it in Singapore T100. No matter if you're coming in last or first, but in 20 years, you'll look back at it and no one really cares about the result. But you don't want to look back at your career or at all the events, what you did, and think like, wow, I was actually always disappointed. Why am I not grateful what I've accomplished myself?
Yeah, no, definitely, 100% agree. Like, you look back and you think, what do you want? Lots of money, lots of medals. Obviously, people want that, lots of money, lots of medals. But I think that's a consequence of enjoying yourself, and you hear that a lot. Like, I think I watched a video of Bradley Wiggins the other day where he was saying, like, when he was in his TT in London 2012, that the smoother he stayed and the more relaxed he stayed in his mind, the better he rode. And you sometimes like drift into thinking that it's all about the numbers and about the focus and about the da 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 da, but you realize obviously that is an important part because you need it to inform your performance. But when you're in the moment, when you're in the flow, it's all about just letting it happen. And he
Yeah.
compared it to like Jimi Hendrix, when he was playing the 12-string guitar, the 12-string Gibson. Do you think he's thinking like every single chord? He's just letting it flow, man. He's just letting it flow. So the
He's
more you let it
flipping rock
flow,
and roll.
he's rock and rolling. He's rocking and rolling.
But that's also the amount of dogs out on the course. That's everything you just want to take in. Like, I absolutely flipping loved it. And when people took the moment to watch out for me and bark at me, then I also think it's I just really like to show the appreciation that you notice it or point at them. And I think once Kipchoge said that you need to laugh during a marathon because you're tricking the mind, that you can trick the pain. I tried to laugh the whole last 37 Ks, mate, and I had one of the best times. And right now, I got the flip and finisher medal. You can see that 2:48 time engraved in there, and that time will still be sexy enough ever to brag towards my grandchildren or whatever, So, no,
That's epic, man.
I had an
So I
awesome
heard you
weekend.
had a few celebrity encounters, mate. I saw
I
you
did.
in the VIP with the big dog Yee, and I
Yeah.
heard you met someone who was going to cook you a hamburger.
So I was when I got changed a little bit, and then I walked back and I saw Alex Shee coming in, and I didn't exactly know what he ran yet because there's like hardly any internet there. So he said he ran a 2:11 and he came in 14th, and I don't know if we realize enough how crazy of a time that is. It was 22 degrees. Melting sun. He's coming from Leeds where it was grim and cold over the last few weeks. So he actually wanted to run 2:7, 2:8, but it's just, I think he would have done it if it was like in cooler conditions. But the time in 14th and how consistently he split the race is just phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, and I mean, I think in the days leading up, obviously we were speaking about it, you and me, but I was speaking about it with my mates, and you just think to yourself like, man, do you realize how quick that is? 2:11, it's like 3:06 or something, or 3:05, 3:06. It's insanely fast. Like, just go run 1K at 3:05, and he's done 42.2. So yeah, obviously debut.
And he can swim and bike.
Yeah, and he still swam and biked the whole prep. So obviously better conditions, maybe like 14 degrees outside. Berlin, obviously Berlin's in the summer, so it's still hot, but it'd be interesting to see whether or not he decides to go again. But the one guy I would like to see, and I spoke to him after the race, was Hugo. Hugo Milner paced the 2:08 group, and he pulled out at 30K. And I said to him, brother,
who is he? Who is this Hugo Milner?
He's a GB triathlete, but he's a really, really fast runner. He has the record for the fastest ever 10K off the bike last year, 28:30 off the bike.
Flippin' hell.
And I said to him, brother, do you think you can? Do you think you could have kept pushing? And he just replied, 2 winky faces. So stay tuned. Maybe Hugo will do a marathon soon. I don't know. I want to see it for sure. I'm actually going on camp with him in Japan, so maybe I'll try to G him up to do it.
Yeah, maybe we can get some inside stories on that.
Yeah, but, I'll get some training tips out for all the dogs.
just extremely inspiring what he has done over the weekend.
Yeah. No,
And
100%.
who else I bumped into? So I was standing there, and literally when I was downing, or I was taking a big sip of a glass of wine, what I had, someone passed me and said, "Well done, mate," and that was Gordon Ramsay. And I had my mouth so full with wine that I could only I could only watch that he said it. And I was so slow with like downing the drink, processing what happened, and he was already like 2 meters further that I could say thanks, mate, or thanks. But he was there, like loads of people were there. But it was like one of the best experiences I've ever had. And I'd rather, I would want to do more of these events. And I'm not talking like a marathon, but just like big other events than solely. Yeah.
So do you reckon that means Gordon Ramsay's one of the dogs? Do you think he listens?
I don't know. I do know that in the past he did follow me on Instagram, but that's already a while ago. But for some reason he has unfollowed me. Yeah, I don't know. But he's a triathlon fan. He is.
Yeah, we can call him a friend of the podcast then. Thanks, Gordon Ramsay, friend of the podcast.
Yeah, we can even call him family, I think. Otherwise, he wouldn't say, "Well done, mate."
No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't. That's just a fact. So, yeah, there you go.
Whereas, on the other hand, if he says "well done" to a steak, it's not really a compliment, is it?
No. So or if he's throwing it across the kitchen.
Yeah, so I don't know how to take it at the moment. Would you ever run a marathon?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, why not? You know, maybe not at the moment, maybe not in my triathlon career, because I don't think I've got the minerals to be as impressive as Alex or Hugo. But I think it's one of those things you're just going to do it, right? You'll do it eventually. You'll do it for a laugh. I'd like to do London, but I'd also like to do like a bit of like Tokyo. I think Tokyo Marathon would be pretty cool. Like something like that. Just one a bit of a different one, but still a major. I think Boston looks cool as well. You know, like it's pretty iconic and it's a hard one. And I don't know. We'll see. But I like the concept of the majors. Like I think it's one of those things. Like you said, you'll tell your grandkids I ran London, and you know.
I must say before. So I know a lot of people who ran, for example, New York Marathon and a couple of other majors, but I never realized how big of an event it is. Now that I've done it myself, I've honestly never realized how big it is. Especially, you know, I was so fist deep with my egoism into like a triathlon and the bubble. You know, like if you look at an average Ironman spectator wise and you compare that to London. I felt like I was in the flipping Olympics, mate.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, it looked unreal. And to be honest, when I turned on the broadcast and Kipchoge dog was in the front group, man, I was getting flashbacks to the sub 2. I was like, he's gonna do it, man. He's gonna do it. And then when he got dropped, I was like, no.
How did he get dropped? Because I didn't see any of that men's race, of course. And is it like, did they just speed up at some point, or?
So it was a big group of like maybe 10, 13 of them. And they splitted through like 27, 28K together. So he was still in the frame, you know? And then all of a sudden they, like I said, kept cutting. And then once they'd cut back to the men's, he was like distance 10 meters off the back. And Sawe just took off like a flipping rocket, mate. And just, it was in a league of his own. Not even anyone.
Just thinking about that they're already running like sub 3 minute cake base or 3 minutes / sub 3 minutes, and then they're speeding up.
Yeah. Man, I think the marathon stuff like is hard to comprehend how fast that is. You know, like even the female world record holder in Chicago. I said to my mate, he said, "Oh, what's the female world record? Are they going to get it?" And I'm like, "Man, the female world record's like 2:09:58." And he was like, "Nah, bullshit. It's 2:09:58, the women's world record, dude."
Yeah. It's like 40 minutes faster than my time. That's
fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts, absolutely nuts. I must say though, kilometer 3, I was thinking, mozzarella. It is such a warm and sunny day. Why would you go for an old Batman black kit? I was roasting and cooking like a Swiss raclette.
Why did you do that?
I'm just not using the brain, mate. Just thinking that I was molded and born in the heat. I don't know. I just did Ibiza 2 weeks ago, and it wasn't that bad, and it was also 21 degrees, but it was cloudy, and it just yesterday or Sunday, I just like in an Ironman, every two 3K, I was thinking like, when's the next water station? It takes so long.
Yeah, that's crazy. Another person that ran a fast marathon this weekend was Kat Matthews, 2:43 in Texas.
I know. Yeah, what's gonna let's quickly
Can
head
you
over
believe
to
that?
Ironman Texas. I know she's like a phenomenal runner because she's already done some phenomenal runs in the past. But that blew my mind. Like in an
Yeah,
Ironman, and then say it again. What time?
2:43, but she split through halfway on pace for 2:38.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's
Off the bike
nuts.
in the
It's
heat.
nuts. All-time female world record. Sorry, it was a 2:49. Correction, but still in crazy impressive. But a new women's Ironman world record of 8:10. So she's nearly broken 8. Think about a couple of years ago, they were doing the sub 8 as a team. She's nearly broken 8 on her own in
Yeah,
Texas in the heat.
yeah, yeah. That's absolutely incredible. Absolutely
Incredible,
incredible.
incredible performance. And she looked fresh the whole way. Nib had like 6 minutes on her off the bike, and she just mowed her down, mate. Like,
I saw that
impressive stuff.
I saw so Nip came off the bike with a 6 minute lead, and I think something like 20 k's in, Cat already ran 6 minutes down.
Yeah, yeah. She got her by like almost halfway.
Yeah,
Crazy. And then on the other hand, Christian, 7:24, 2:34 run.
a two
Mate.
hour. That was what I was thinking during the marathon. Like the times that the top pros in Ironman's run uh, off the
It's
bike
starting to be ridiculous, yeah.
is ridiculous.
He
two
was on
thirty
pace for a
four.
sub 2:30, but I mean, I think he knew he had the win in the bag and probably backed it off.
Yeah,
But man, 2:34. When you think that when you compare that to the London Marathon, you think to yourself 2:34, and it was 31 degrees in Texas. Like it was really hot, and you had
and
two of the fastest
he
ever runs.
just rode 180 k's, almost 46 kilometers an hour average.
Man, nuts,
If I
nuts.
think about that stuff, I just get so insecure.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. The levels are just going up and up and up and up. It's really impressive, honestly. Like Texas was a good race. And Cam Worth, old dog on the block, still chomping it. Fastest ever Ironman bike, 3:53, I think.
So obviously the conditions on the day were quick in some way because there were like record breaking times almost all over, because also Christian's time was almost a world record fastest Ironman
Yeah,
ever, though, right?
yeah, almost. Yeah,
And what was the fastest? Is it still rough
I'm
by
not sure, but
deadlift?
I don't know if they count his Cozumel. He did Cozumel a few years ago. He went like 7:16, but obviously he had
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
current in the swim.
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, 7:24 is really not far off the world record, is it? So crazy performances all around the board, men and women.
And I think I
Uh,
read something somewhere that what was it? Something like 16 people went under 8 hours on
yeah,
in Ironman Texas. 15 or 16 people under 8, whereas I think in the previous editions, not even 15 in total.
yeah. It's the level, the density, and across every distance. And now you can't even go Ironman anymore without it not being tight. You're going to
Yeah,
be sprint finishing at the end of a marathon.
yeah, just like Abdi Nagay this weekend. Can you imagine
Yeah,
running a whole marathon head to head, and it comes down to like a literally 100-meter sprint?
photo finish,
Do you do
crazy.
strides? So
Oh
when
mate,
you do,
I do strides.
yeah.
I've started doing more and more strides on my easy runs because there actually is some biomechanical proof that it helps you with your posture and
Hmm.
your impact and all that stuff. So I'll do like on an easy day, I'll do a 45-minute jog, 4 by 20 seconds, 20 seconds on, 40 seconds off, just striding easy speed, And I think it does help, especially to get ready for
Do
a
you
run
do it
session
during
the next
every
day.
easy run or just?
Not everyone, twice a week, maybe. If you're doing it every time, I think you're a bit keen, mate. You chill out.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
mate, calm down. It's just an easy run.
yeah. It's the Kenyans do it a lot.
What, strides?
Yeah, strides or progressive runs, but they only do running, of course. But like strides.
Yeah.
So sometimes just doing an easy run towards the end, just some faster bits. I
I
need to
was
get on
watching the
them.
race, the London Marathon, and I was thinking to myself, do you think that like those front guys and girls are just different human beings to us? You know, when you look at their physiology and how they come off the ground and how smooth they are, and you just think to yourself, man, like that is a different type of human, you know, like there's no amount of training could make me like that, you know?
Um, yeah, but isn't it also like training? I mean, obviously they're naturally gifted in a certain way that they um, excel in the sport, but also it's also like a lot of training
Yeah.
and a part of their stuff is also dedication to the training, because I'm not dedicated enough to be able to do it apart
Yeah.
from the physiology. But it's not like being consistent for 1 year, but it's being able to be consistent for maybe 10 to 30 years.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. So. But yeah, also in physiology, because when I was in that ice bath, I was thinking like Wim Hof is my fellow Dutchman, but we definitely got different genes because I was suffering like a dog. So yeah, in some way, God did all build us different.
Right. So we put out a question last week on what segment we wanted to see, or what segment the listeners wanted to see. And we've narrowed it down to a few. Which ones did we want to say, Tom?
Yeah, so dogs, listen up. We want to come with a new segment in the podcast. And for that new segment, we've put out an Instagram post on our Triathlon Mockery Instagram page. And as a result, we think the funniest one or the best one for to have a conversation, me and Max, about is the following. What do we need? So we want to do an age group question of the week every week. And we need you. So what do we need? We need like a voice memo. And you can send it in to our Instagram account. And it could be, for example, saying hey, Tom and Max, my name is Leno. And I'm doing my first 70.3 this weekend. And I'm super nervous for the swim. Have you got some tips? But it can also be something like totally non-serious or something else. Just any questions you have in regards that can form a little discussion or like an oracle called Tom MX. So send in your questions to our DM with a voice memo so we can play it in the podcast. And then, we can think of a new segment that that's then the new segment that we want to add in.
Yeah, and it can be a question, it can be a comment, it can be a observation. Just send us in your voice memos. Let us know what you're thinking, and we'll discuss it. We'll discuss the best ones on the podcasts. Ideally, they're funny. Ideally, they're a bit embarrassing. If you want them to be anonymous, you can say anonymous, and we'll keep it anonymous. If you want to have your name shouted out, we'll shout it out.
It could be. We cannot really give. We can only give advice through our own personal perspective. So we can't really deal with real personal stuff or whatever. So sports related. I mean, we can always try. We can always try. We've also been through stuff in life. But that's it. The bullshit buster. I think we've covered that one, didn't we?
Yep.
Let's just say it quickly again. Bullshit buster is not my day, not what I hope for, not what I came for, not what I live for. We got to stop doing that. We got to spread more positivity, because in the end, we should be really grateful that we are able to work out and even post it on Instagram. Some people don't have internet.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, honestly.
Be grateful you got the brain rot of social media, guys. Come on.
Yeah. I'm not talking about like people in third world countries. I'm also talking about like Spain and Portugal last weekend or yesterday, because all of a sudden they had like no electricity. And I was thinking, can you imagine, Max, that I gave you as a coach FTP test and you're rocking and rolling on Zwift, and all of a sudden electricity cut. And of course your laptop will still have power, but the Wi-Fi will be gone. So Zwift wouldn't have recorded your data. What a nightmare that would be.
Terrible. Forget about the hospitals and the planes above you, man. It would be the FTP test that would be completely fucked.
But in all seriousness, though, it is kind of nuts, though, that they say we don't know what the source is and where it's coming from. Don't you think that's super odd? Like they can sense if a bolt in space in a certain rocket is off, but they can't locate the problem in all this.
I think, and this could be conspiracy corner, but they definitely know what happened. Of course, it was
Yeah,
for me. For me, it was a cyber attack. Like, what
yeah.
else? Take down the whole power grid, but not just the power grid, but the 5G, the trains, the airports, the everything, the communication systems. Like, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think I'm crazy? But like, what else
No, I
could it
don't
be?
think you're crazy. Like I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I'm like not a conspiracy theorist. What did you say at all? But I know I saw some things in the news in the Netherlands over the last couple of weeks that already, for example, some other countries have played cyber attacks on certain companies or certain government companies in the Netherlands, and all of a sudden the power cuts in like two whole countries. So yeah, I would say the chance of a cyber attack is bigger than like an failure at the electricity company. But
We'll
I don't
see.
know. We'll see.
It's
And
a bit
yet,
like that mystery fire they had at Heathrow a few weeks ago. You remember that mystery fire that shut down the Heathrow airport for like two
no,
days?
no.
They had this mystery fire happen at Heathrow that shut down the airport, and they were like, "Oh, we don't know what it is. No, no idea, no idea." It's like still not said the cause of it, but man, I'm telling you guys, there's some weird stuff going out there, man. There's some weird stuff.
But we are a Triathlon Mockery podcast, so that's why I focused on the triathlon stuff, and thus I thought about the FTP test. So, um, yeah, for a change, the people in Spain and Portugal had to ride outside, which, if you're a big fan of riding indoors, is of course a bummer. But luckily, electricity is back on, baby. So,
We're back.
have we got one more thing for this week? Did we miss anything?
I don't think so. Any races coming up next week? No, I don't think so.
I do have a whole vlog coming out about the London Marathon on my channel later today.
Yeah.
So people who want to see all the atmosphere of the crowd, but also like everything from the event, from the day that I arrived to the day that I went goner, you can watch it. I think it's a good laugh, and it shows you, what kind of energy the major gives you. Furthermore, I think in Triathlon land, T100 is coming up. Is it this weekend or next weekend?
No, there's San Francisco in
2 weeks, 3 weeks.
3 weeks, a bit more than 3 weeks time. A
Yeah.
month's time, San Francisco, and then 2 weeks after that, Vancouver on the 15th of June. Before that, there's World Series Yokohama, which your boy will be racing, and World Series Alghero, which is on the same weekend as San Francisco in
But even you've
beautiful
still got
Sardinia.
3 weeks.
Still got 3 weeks till the race in Japan. Yeah.
All right. Then we can dive deep into that next week.
Cool.
All righty,
That
my
it?
dogs. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back with a brand new episode next week.
Thanks, dog. See you later.